You listened to Brian Sabian yesterday with Willard and Dibbs. It was awesome.
Yeah, I did listen to that, but I also listened to Joe Lacob with Tim Kawakabe.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
Athletic. And whenever Joe Lacob speaks, we all listen. And there were some very, very interesting nuggets there. We had Steve Kerr on the station yesterday. We'll play some Steve Kerr sound. Some of the guys are getting back. But some very interesting things from Lacob, some big-time takeaways, whether it's baseball, whether it's the two-timeline thing, whether it's Bob Myers and the contract extension. Apparently, Joe Lacob said they've offered Bob twice a new deal, and they haven't, they'll negotiate and they'll get that. It sounds like Bob's going to want the big money, and he deserves the big money. God forbid Bob Myers moves on. We hope that doesn't happen. But a lot of things happened yesterday. So, and then, by the way, it's Football Friday, so we got Mike Florio on at 8:30. John Gambadora, our buddy from Arizona, he's going to join us at 8 o'clock because Jasky, the easiest way to get to the playoffs, right, in today's game is to win a division.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams that are going to be going to the playoffs that their division's stinky.
Terrible.
Halitosis divisions.
Yeah, yes. Halitosis divisions. Snake-ass divisions. The Niners are set up to dominate the NFC West. When you look at the landscape of the NFC West, a year after the Rams win the Super Bowl, the Rams don't have any picks. They have no offensive line. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they're going to navigate through their salary cap. Arizona's not going to have Kyler Murray for at least the first 2 months of next season.
Yeah, it feels like a stretch to think he's coming back next year.
And you hear their Hopkins rumors that DeAndre Hopkins may be moved this offseason. The Seahawks, they need a quarterback. Mm-hmm. They're close, but they need a quarterback.
And they got the pick from Denver.
So they may, end up with Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. We'll see. The Niners, though, are set up to be in the playoffs and win this division year in and year out. And that means, obviously they're in the playoffs for the third time in 4 years coming up here. Got to give Lynch and Shanahan credit to be in position to dominate. And I think they could go on I'm not going to say a Patriot-like run in the AFC East.
I mean, that's unprecedented.
No doubt. But they could be there like the Kansas City Chiefs and just dominate and be the gold standard in an NFC West. You got to give them credit for that. That's the easiest way to get a home game and a playoff spot.
The Chiefs are so unique just because of how great Patrick Mahomes is. But, yes, in terms of Andy Reid being very successful with multiple quarterbacks in one situation, that's a good analogy. I was going to say more like, can they be like Pittsburgh? Can they go on a run here and have, 7 or 8 years in a row where they don't go under 500? Now, A lot of things have to break your way. Like, I look at that Tomlin thing. He's been there 15 years. And thus far, and we'll see what happens this weekend, he's yet to have an under 500 season. That's, impossible. I don't even know how, and I don't even care. I know he had Big Ben, and I'm not trying to diminish Big Ben's excellence. I think he's a Hall of Famer. That's just an incredible record. You know how much, good fortune you have to have in terms of quarterback health? You know how much perseverance you have to not give up in lost seasons? I think that also says something about that division. Yeah. With some of the teams, obviously Cincinnati wasn't
bad
good
for a long time.
Cleveland wasn't good.
Cincinnati had some years, though. They had some years.
Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis.
They were in the playoffs.
Carson Palmer.
They had some down years. I mean, they were top 5 back-to-back years in terms of the draft. But, I look at the Niners, it's just so hard in the NFL to see, what the long-term scope is. I thought Jacksonville was really well-positioned, right? Even though we all thought Blake Bortles was kind of a mirage, I thought they were really well-positioned to be good for quite some time after reaching the AFC Championship game. Then the bottom fell out, and I said, I don't know. I thought the Rams were positioned to be good for a couple of years, and this year the bottom fell out. A couple key injuries, if Nick Bosa goes down next year, just hypothetically, I don't want to talk anything into existence. I don't know if this defense is still a, top 5, top 10 type of a defense. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
It's tough. The league is just so.
It is tough, but the Niners have they've got their core guys locked up. They're young.
Got a lot of talent.
Young. They're positioned well. Now, the one question is, and we're going to find out through the playoffs, who the quarterback is. We still don't know who the quarterback of the future is for the 49ers, which is lightweight is driving me crazy.
Why?
Because I just want to know. I just want to know, you bring up Big Ben. Pittsburgh knew Big Ben was their quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. Patriot fans, since their first Super Bowl, they knew Tom Brady was going to be there for a long time. Peyton Manning, same thing. Drew Brees with the Saints, going to be your quarterback for a long. Kansas City doesn't have to worry about a quarterback for a long time. Buffalo doesn't have to worry about a quarterback for a long time. With Trey and Brock Purdy, I just don't know. I just don't know who's going to be the quarterback.
Have there been any teams that have had, let's say, a successful decade run with 2 or 3 different quarterbacks? And you don't even say you have to have a Super Bowl, but like Washington comes to mind, the Washington football team
Mark
back in
Rippon,
the 80s and 90s.
Joe Theismann, and of course Doug Williams. That's about it. I mean,
the New York Giants with Bill Parcells, is that even count?
Well, Phil Simms led both of those teams, and Phil Simms got hurt late in that season, December, when Hostetler took over. Not really.
I mean, it's a very unique needle they're trying to thread, is I guess where I'm going at. Like, would you rather be the back in the day, San Diego Chargers with Phillip Rivers, where you're like, hey, we know who our guy is for a decade, but you're not as good as where the Niners are at? I'd kind of choose their particular situation where you're like, hey, we've got a great roster. We just got to kind of figure out the quarterback.
Right.
Because I trust Shanahan.
That's a big deal. That's where I've kind of come around to, where it's like Shanahan can make things happen, but as a fan base, it kind of drives you crazy, right? It's just like, all right, we think it's Brock. We think it's Trey, but we really don't know.
It would drive me a lot more crazy if they were stinky and we were still trying to find a quarterback.
Right.
The fact that they're winning, it really takes away all of the anxiety from me. Like, right now, it feels like the fun part. Like, I'm just enjoying the ride. Right now. I mean, we'll see where this is at come training camp next year, where the fervor is going to be through the roof. But right now, I'm just kind of enjoying the ride.
All right. Raiders in the late 80s, early 90s. That's a good call.
You know what? That's a good call.
That's a good call.